Okay, so we'll start off with your opening statements. A reminder that you each have 30 seconds, and we'll start off with Mr. LaForge. You need to turn on your mic.
I'm this guy right here. I've got 30 years local experience in this county, practicing law since '89. I was Chief Deputy District Attorney for 12 plus years. Been in private practice for 17 plus. For a total of 29 and a half years, I've practiced law in the county of San Benito. I've successfully prosecuted over 12 homicides. I prosecuted a serial arsonist that devoured the town of Hollister. He's away for life now. Prosecuted over 300 domestic violence cases.
Thank you.
Pardon?
Your 30 seconds is up.
That's your time.
The 30
I'm done?
seconds is up. Yeah, sorry.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I guess I should look over there instead of...
Okay. Next, we'll have Mr. Rodriguez.
All right, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm grateful that my work schedule allowed it this time. It's great to be back at my alma mater, San Benito High. I'm running for judge because I want to have a broader impact on my community. I was a prosecutor here for nearly 5 years until the recession hit, but I used that concern out of being laid off as an opportunity to broaden my skill set and go into civil law. And I've practiced throughout courts in Northern California, but I'm excited about the prospect of serving my hometown and home community again. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll start off with the first question, and this one is going to go to Mr. Rodriguez first. California recently eliminated cash bail. If elected, how would you implement this new system in San Benito County, ensuring individuals an efficient and fair process?
Thank you. The local courts are going to have a couple options as to what we want to do, what the courts can do. We can either keep the services, the pretrial assessment services, in-house, or we can contract that out. The Judicial Council is going to develop a list of agencies, local agencies, to develop a pretrial assessment, determine and evaluate risk. We're going to have to look at our own system, look at our own data to find out what really works, what's financially feasible for our system here. Some of the crimes, misdemeanors, for example, with the exception of domestic violence and some DUIs, are not going to be, or there's not going to be a detention allowed for that. So we need to review our data, review what most of the crimes are actually in our system. So we're going to have to work with the Judicial Council to see what money is available, because money is going to be allocated to our court system. And we're going to have to work within the Judicial Council rules that they develop. This is a system that they're currently developing. The Judicial Council is developing data and risk assessment tools. So we're going to have to do all that to ensure that the system that we implement here is right for San Benito County. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. LaForge?
And I can tell you it's not. SB 10 is something the governor passes down to the counties. They're going to have to pay for it. We're going to have to figure it out. You get the California District Attorneys Association, the California Public Defenders Association, all against it. Right now, there's a petition to be put on the ballot to recall SB 10, because is what it basically does. If somebody gets arrested, they have 12 hours to make a decision. 12 hours if he's going to be released or not. And in this county, that's going to be through the probation department and the bench. They're going to decide if they get released. And they get released, and guess what? They'll be back in the bucket in 20 minutes. Again, committing a new misdemeanor. Because a lot of these criminals are smart. They know what they can get away with and what they can't get away with. The jails are against it, because the jails are going to end up ultimately being overcrowded. It's going to work in reverse. They're trying to free up people, and it's not going to happen. SB 10, the governor's happy about it, but that's about it. I think the counties are we're strapped as it is anyways, with all the drug laws that the governor decides to say, Prop 36, 47, 56. Who has to pay for all that? The counties. Everything comes out of the counties. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So question number 2, we'll start off with Mr. LaForge. What alternative sentencing ideas do you have to benefit our youth in the juvenile justice system?
Take something positive out of something negative. That would be my approach to handling juveniles. A lot of them just want to sit in the can in juvenile hall. It's easy. They go to school, they get their meals, they don't have to do anything. I propose that they do something good in the county, work out in the community, go wash cars, work, pick up trash, do certain variations of certain things in the community to make the community better. It can be done, and it should be done. Instead of these kids that just sit home on their iPads all day or get in trouble. Now they don't have iPads in juvenile hall, of course, but make something positive out of the negative that got them where they are. Make them realize this is sort of a punishment. Because I believe that a lot of the youth that come through the juvenile hall system are basically lazy, and they don't like to work. They don't want to work. And this would force them to work, to do something, some type of punishment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna ask that we don't do that. Thanks. Mr. Rodriguez?
The whole point of the juvenile justice system is to rehabilitate the juvenile. There needs to be consequences, of course, but ultimately the goal is to rehabilitate. And we need to implement evidence-based practices. That's something that I've helped the probation department in Santa Cruz County work with as an advisor role. But we need to be able to work with the probation department here to figure out what works, again, for our county. I agree with Mr. LaForge. I think, community work service, I think that's definitely important. We need to integrate people the juveniles into our system. I think a good program, a mentorship work program would be useful. We have a lot of leaders out here in the audience. I think if we could have a volunteer program where we have the juvenile work with a mentor who's a leader in the community, I think that would be great. Helping individuals work towards college or some kind of education, because some people growing up here, a lot of my classmates didn't even think about college. And we need to give people a reminder that there are alternatives out there. And we also need to help juveniles understand that there are consequences for their actions, because sometimes that's absent from their thinking. So thank you.
Thank you. Guys, come on. Just for the sake of time. It's not because I don't want you guys to be enthusiastic. I promise. Okay. So now we'll move into closing statements, and you each have 90 seconds, and this will start with Mr. Rodriguez. Oh, and one more thing before you start. Remember to turn your mics off when you're done talking, just for feedback. Yeah, so you're not talking right now, so turn it off. Thank you. It'll be red. There you go.
Can I start? All right. As a San Benito County prosecutor, I work to keep our community safe. As a civil litigator, I gained a broad experience handling everything from business litigation to civil rights cases. I practiced in state, federal courts, including the Court of Appeals and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is in the federal circuit. Now I want to bring that experience back home. During this campaign, I've had the pleasure of knocking on thousands of doors, and I know that it's a concern out there for our community to help resolve cases quicker. And because I've practiced in so many courts throughout the state, I've seen what it takes to move cases along. That can include court-directed mediation or increasing access to cases online. I've made connections with judges and leaders all over the area, and I've received input on how to bring resources back to our community. I have the energy and drive to not only continue the high standards that our courts have established here, but I want to make things better here. I've also made connections with judges and leaders throughout the area, and I think I can make a difference here. As a result of my work in the area, I'm happy to announce that I have the following judicial endorsements. It's from Rafael Vasquez from Monterey County, Helen Williams of Santa Clara County, Paul Maraganda and Timothy Schmall of Santa Cruz County, Mark Forcum of San Mateo County, and former Associate Justice of the 6th District, Miguel Marquez. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Mr. LaForge?
I know I have what it takes to be a judge here in this community. I've been here for 29 and a half years. I've dealt with every judge that we've had in this county in the last 30 years, including tens of hundreds of visiting judges throughout the state. I know what happens in this courtroom. I'm in it every day. It's my second office. In fact, I'm in it way more than I'm in my office. I'm glad council brought up the idea of endorsements, because endorsements are very important for a race such as this. I've been endorsed by the statewide law enforcement association, which represents over 7,000 peace officers. I've been endorsed by the San Benito County Sheriff's Department. I've been endorsed by our former candidate, Robert Foley, who was the presiding judge of Santa Clara County before pulling out of the race. And the Hollister Firefighters Union has endorsed me as well. And I think is what's telling about getting law enforcement endorsements. When you're a criminal defense attorney, that says a lot about your character as an individual. That means law enforcement trusts you. Even though you're on the other side in court of law, they know you're going to be fair, they know you're going to be just, and they're behind you 100%. So I just wanted to, when I close, remember when you go to the polls in November, vote LaForge for judge. Experience, integrity, and commitment to community count a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.